Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. This video is going to be about the first element of a Maundy Thursday service, which is the love feast or an agape meal. So the love feast really has two layers to it. First, it holds the significance of the fact that it is Jesus' last meal before his death. So as we eat the love feast, we keep that in mind, that we are with Jesus eating his last meal before he goes to the cross. And that is reason enough to practice this meal together, but it also holds the significance of a meal eaten in community. Communal meals were very commonplace in the early church and in Jesus' time. You can go to Acts chapter 2 or Acts chapter 6, and you can see the disciples eating together in community. Eating together was important both in the Jewish culture and in the Greco-Roman culture. It signified acceptance and fellowship and unity. And so it was a big deal for a Jew to be having a meal with a non-Jew. And even if meals aren't such a big deal to us today, even if they don't signify the same thing, I believe that it is still a communal act. Eating together is an activity that brings us into relationship and community. When I'm feeling lonely, the last thing I want to do is to go home and eat by myself. Sometimes I'll even go out to a restaurant just to be around other people while I'm eating. And maybe that sounds odd, but even the dog waits for me to come home to eat. Even the dogs want to do their eating in community. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Because right now, with the measures that we've taken to slow the spread of the coronavirus, we found that the best way to love and serve people is to not gather, to not be in community, to not have a communal meal together, which is why I'm making these videos so that you can still practice this with your home and your family. But before we continue any further, I want to speak to the people who may be at home alone or the people who do not have anyone to eat this meal with. And I want to say firstly that my heart hurts for you, and Jesus's heart hurts for you, because we were not created to be in isolation. We are created to be in community, in connection, and in family, and when that is missing, it is painful. Have grace for yourself in that time of isolation and in that pain. Secondly, lean into the aloneness of the meal and the aloneness of your time of isolation. Plead with God to meet you there. He will not forsake you. As the Maundy Thursday and Good Friday services continue, we walk with Jesus into the darkest and most lonely night of history, the night that God died. Jesus wants to meet you there. And the same goes for those of you who are taking this meal with others. Let the events that are to come on Good Friday and Holy Saturday orient your moods and your spirituality during the meal. Know the whole time that you are eating Jesus' last meal with him before he dies. So, as you sit down to eat, to the love feast, read aloud Luke chapter 22 verses 7-13, and again that will be on the worship guide. The passage sets the scene for the meal, which is first in the quick unfolding of events that lead ultimately to Jesus' death and his suffering. Select someone to pray over the meal. If you want, there's a written prayer on the Maundy Thursday worship guide. During the meal, Jesus prays and he intercedes for his disciples and for all believers. And if you wish, you may read aloud Jesus' prayer, which is found in John 17, while you are eating. After the meal, clear the table and prepare for the foot washing.